Morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bracket Up, where today we're going through one of our selections in our Bracket Up 2020 wrap up. Today we've got best TV show that we watched in 2020. So this doesn't have to be something that came out in 2020, just the best one that we watched. Real quick, I'll go around and introduce everybody, and then we'll get started. First, Julian, I saw you doing a little dance there. So come on and slam if you want to jam. Let's go.
I'm excited today. Today's going to be a good one.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Underneath Julian is Tom Kairos. Tom, I love your hair.
Yeah, now and I'm in clear now being on my phone as opposed to my laptop, so it really shows.
It's a great day for that hair. Next to Tom is the anime king himself, Dave Holloway. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing good. I have nothing special to say today, other than I got 2 entries on this one, so I'm happy to share 2 shows I liked.
Awesome. And then finally, sorry, it's Yeah, okay. Well, go ahead. Notice me, senpai. It's Andy Mysek.
It's me. Hi, everyone. I think we should mention this is still part of the ongoing series of episodes we're all doing in 1 week. But we don't have Bill and Dominic today, so that's sad. We had to split up the recording, and they couldn't make it.
Darn. Yeah, we had some.
That's what all of our audience members were saying.
Yeah, sorry, Roy.
All 3 of them.
All right, so what we did, normally there'd be 7 of us. We all choose a TV show. But today, and what we were doing before, was trying to have a guest in to select their own pick or whatnot. But I don't think we had a guest for this one. So I know, Dave, you said you did 2. So there's going to be 6 TV shows from the rest of us, 2 from Dave, and we'll figure out, as usual, which one is the best TV show that we watched in 2020. So I guess, Andy, whenever you are ready for that screen share, we can get started.
I don't even remember what I put for this one.
There you go.
That's going to make it good. Oh, you picked Love Victor, Tom. Love Victor.
Oh yeah, because I thought it was limited to shows that came out in 2020. That's why I did that.
And I haven't picked yet.
Okay.
We'll find out in that moment.
Exactly. So Tom's Love Victor is going up against Julian's Love, Death, and Robots.
Great show.
I haven't seen either of them. Sell me, boys.
Tom, you go
Do you
ahead.
want to go first, Julian?
No, you go first. You go first.
Oh, the
Okay,
two
so-
polite ones.
I love
So
that.
Love Victor. So I know this is gonna sound sappy, but I don't know if any of you saw the movie Love, Simon.
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's related to that.
It takes place in the same universe. Yes,
There's a whole Love Victor universe.
So I say
Yeah.
it's the Love Simon verse.
it's the yeah, exactly, the LSU. Yes. So there's a different storyline that takes place about 10 years later from that movie, and it's a show, and it's about this guy who's struggling about coming out and to his parents because he's Latino and hardcore Catholic parents and stuff like that, and he writes to Simon trying to figure out what's the best way to do this, and then it's high school, and some of it is very movie magic type of thing, like idealistic setting. But some of it was very real, very relatable, making sure that your parents accept you and stuff like that, and worrying about that. And then the twist at the end is they figure out that what happens, and that's the end of the first season. I don't know if it got renewed yet, but again, I thought this bracket was limited to shows that came out in 2020. I didn't realize that it could have been any show that you watched during the year. So that's why I particularly chose this one, but I really liked it a lot. I don't know if it would sit well with this audience per se, but it was really good when I watched it towards the beginning of the year.
Still
Would
sounds
you also
interesting, though.
recommend the
That
movie?
was good.
Oh, the movie, definitely. Yes.
Okay.
I'm a hopeless romantic, so I do what I did an ugly cry in that movie because of what happened in the movie theater. I saw it with Tim, and I was just like, oh, it was brutal. But yes, I would recommend both the movie and the show.
I'm looking at the cast on. I just googled Love Victor, and there's 4 main actors, I guess. Michael Cimino, Anthony Turpel, George Sear and Nick Robinson, they all look like they could be brothers. Like it looks like one family. It is insane how much these guys look alike. All attractive men.
Well, of course.
No, I know
Julian,
I've seen Julian's show.
yeah, what is this all about?
I've seen this one. It's good.
Love, Death, and Robots. It's on Netflix. I think it came out this year. I'm
Last
pretty
year.
sure. It came out last year. But it's a show where you have different creators who made these little shorts, and they're all like different stories. I think there's one episode where you have like 3 robots and they're going through post-apocalyptic society, and they're going on like it's a tour because I guess they live in some much nicer place for robots and stuff like that. There's another episode where there's a bounty hunter or with a scientist and they fight Dracula. I think they get killed by Dracula. I don't know. There's one where Rupert Grant. No, not Rupert Grant. What's his name? The dude from That 70s Show.
The main character?
Yeah, Topher Grace. Yeah, Topher Grace, he's in it, and then the girl from Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
Ramona.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
in that.
Mhm.
She's in that episode, and it's like they have a whole civilization in their freezer, and it goes out through like prehistoric all the way through the Renaissance period to the industrial period, all the way up to like a nuclear holocaust, and then it starts over again. And it's actually pretty cool to watch. Each episode is very different, and it's definitely interesting if you're like into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a Black Mirror.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's super. The best part about it is every episode is so different because it is by different people, so different animation styles. It's always a different story.
Oh, it's animated. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I
some
might
are
have missed
No,
animated,
yeah.
some are animated, some are not animated, which is
Yeah.
cool.
There's
Okay.
some live action too. The animated ones stand out though a lot more.
They're so amazing.
It's really I like when a show kind of gives smaller creators an opportunity to show off kind of what they can do. And I didn't know what I was getting into. I just saw a lot of people talking about it last year, and I jumped in. It was really interesting. Yeah, it's cool.
Is there like a general connecting theme between the different episodes?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, theme wise, kind of post-apocalyptic robots.
I wouldn't say that they're all post-apocalyptic. Some are, some aren't. They're all very different.
Some are post-apocalyptic. Some are, apocalypse is happening in this moment, so it'll soon be post-apocalyptic. It's definitely got that like sci-fi end of
It's
the
very
world
sci-fi.
vibe.
It's very sci-fi. Well, there was an episode where they had the werewolves in the army or the Marines or something like that.
Yeah, that was one of the
That
first
wasn't
ones.
that wasn't very post-apocalyptic.
Also, all the episodes are like 5 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
So it's enough to get you really interested, and then it stops. That's the only thing because like I don't know. I don't know whether to say that's genius or that sucks because like you really get pulled into the story quickly, and then it ends, and then you're just like kind of left with, well, what happens? But you're never gonna find out because there's another episode that's completely different than that one.
Mhm.
it's an easy binge.
It's easy.
I think that's a cool idea, though, of having not every episode have a strict time set to it. Like if it's 5 to 15, that's a pretty decent range of how much time they have to tell their story, and I'd imagine that lets the director of that story and writer really pace out how they actually want it, rather than trying to fill a bunch of dead space to make the time.
Yeah, this is a cool one.
Damn.
My only problem with it was like, I don't know. I liked and didn't like that it was all different stories and just episodic, and I don't know. It got
Do you not
boring
like-
for me
like
after a while.
anthologies?
Yeah, it got boring after a while watching it. I also
don't know.
binged all 18 episodes at once.
I was gonna say like I don't see how it's boring then if it's all new and it's all fresh, how can you be bored? That's why it's that's one of the reasons why it's so bingeable.
Yeah,
Everything is different.
I found myself looking at my watch during
Oh.
some of them. I was like, okay, I don't care.
I mean,
I
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I actually really like anthologies. So like I as a kid really liked Twilight Zone, where same idea of every episode something new. Obviously they had a set time limit though time for each of those. So this sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't mind
If you
anthologies. This one kind of got boring towards the end.
I disagree entirely. It's not enough to make you ugly cry though.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
ugly crying during Love,
Like that,
Death,
you're
and
not gonna
Robots.
you're not gonna ugly cry during this. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for just some tears and to get folded like laundry, then I would definitely watch Love Victor.
This is all about.
I'm an emotional
death.
sucker, so Love Victor sounds like it's actually up my alley. So
No, we all pretend like we would no, I'm not gonna
it's-
watch Love Victor, but watch every single one of us is gonna watch it, and we're all gonna be
it's
busting out tears.
real easy to get me to cry at something emotional. So I'm gonna vote for Love Victor.
Wow, I was not expecting that. Well, I'll stick with my pick. I mean, there's some like good ones down the road, but if I get past one round, I'll be happy with that.
Julian, Andy.
I'll vote for Love Victor also. You're getting in around two, Tom. You're getting there.
Julian.
Shit.
I'm a sentimental fool.
Even though I think Love Victor probably it deserves to win this one, I'm just gonna stick with Love, Death, and Robots. I chose it, so I'm gonna stick with it. But you're clearly the victor, Tom. Like you clearly are.
I liked Love, Death, and Robots, but I kind of got bored with it. Love Victor isn't something I would watch, but I like the message. I like what it's doing, so I'll vote for it.
Hell
Love,
yeah.
Death, and Robot sounds like you might have watched too many in one sitting.
That's 100% possible. Because the first few, I was like, "Oh shit, this is cool." And by the end, I'm like, "Cool, more post-apocalyptic death."
It's a lot. All right, so Love Victor moves on to the semifinals. Next matchup is Dom's choice, The Mandalorian, but he's not here, against Dave's choice, Fruits Basket. So, Dave, why don't you go first, and then we'll all kind of fill the blanks with Dom.
Yeah, sure. So at least in the case of The Mandalorian, thankfully, a lot of us have seen it, so we don't need Dom here to defend it or say anything about it. But Fruits Basket, it is an anime. It was originally a manga in the 90s. They adapted it once around 2001, but it was incomplete. Like they stopped a third of the way through the story and had their own complete made-up ending that was unique to the show because they didn't renew it. And then last year, what was it? 2019 or was it 2018? Let me just double check real quick. 2019. They rebooted the anime series with a new remake that was faithful to the manga, and then 2020 they had the second season, and it is it is a story about, it's a romance story set like a high school romance where the main character is this very quiet, reserved, but extremely kind, nice, and gentle like girl who gets involved with this family who has a curse on them to where if they get hugged by someone of the opposite sex, they transform into one of the animals from the zodiac. So, like, you might hug someone and then they turn into the cat from the Chinese zodiac, or I think it might be a Japanese zodiac in this case because they have a slight difference. And that's like there's that vague supernatural message there or element there, but all the stories are very like heartfelt, emotional. Like all these characters have upsetting backstories in a lot of cases where it's not like people know this happens. It's a guarded secret in this story. And so think of a mother having their child and then discovering that, oh wait, what the hell, my son just turned into a rabbit. Like what the fuck is going on? And their like inability to like accept them or feel like there's some monster that they they can't be associated with, and it gets into a lot of like sad backstories. For this season this year, the writer of the manga mentioned that when she had seen like certain scenes adapted, she realized just how sad she had wrote some stuff, and that like how painful it was to re-experience these emotional arcs that are happening. But I love this show. It has quickly become like my fourth favorite anime, like period, and it's not even done yet. There's still at least another season to go. So I had to include it here.
Would not have
Before we
expected
talk
that from-
Mandalorian, please do not spoil season 2 for me. Kelly and
Yeah, I
I
haven't
waited
watched
for
season
them
2
all
yet
out
either.
to binge.
Don't
I've heard
spoil any of it for me because I haven't seen any of it.
I loved the first season. I know Dave got tired of it at some point.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I liked it a lot too.
It is the best thing Disney has done with Star Wars. I mean, the bar is real low, but it's basically better than Rogue One, which is the second best thing Disney did with Star Wars. So I don't know. It's good. I don't know, Tom, if you want to describe it, you'll probably be better than me.
Well, it takes, if I remember correctly, it takes place between episodes 6 and 7.
I
Mhm.
believe
So-
yes.
Yeah, so it's like so it's that universe. So like, the Empire has fallen. The new one hasn't quite started yet, but like the inner workings are beginning, and it follows this bounty hunter who is known as the Mandalorian, and who's doing a job and comes across. So his boss, more or less, the guy who ordered his next job, is like, okay, there's this individual who's like very powerful with the Force, and they pose a threat to us, and blah blah. And then out comes Baby Yoda out of this, who gets a name in the second season. You do find out their name, but then he doesn't want to. The purpose, I think, was to murder him, to eliminate it, and then
Yeah.
he obviously couldn't pull the trigger, more or less, and now he brings him along in all these little adventures to try to protect him. And the villain, one of the main villains in that season is actually, did you ever see Breaking Bad, Julian?
Yes, I have.
So Gus Fring in Breaking Bad, the actor, is the main villain
Oh,
in this
that's fun.
series, which was
Yeah.
interesting to see. So it just, I don't know the plot of the second season at all. I haven't watched any of it. I'm waiting for all the episodes to come out, and then I'll just watch them all at once.
It's all
I
out
think you
now.
might be able to do that now. Yeah.
That's all out now. Kelly and I are
okay.
gonna do it probably starting Sunday.
I
I do know of one spoiler that I won't mention, other than somebody really cool comes back in season 2, and I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't know that, but I'm very excited.
It's
Yeah, I'm a
General
little-
Hooks, isn't it?
I'm a little confused on who you know, because I briefly said, "Oh, I know someone from this TV animated series is
Yeah,
returning,"
I know enough about
and I
said
but I'm
person.
just. Oh, okay. So you know enough about them to be interested. Okay.
Yes. I do.
Yeah.
I didn't
so
watch it, but
I don't know. For me, I got through 4 episodes of the original series, and personally, like, even though it's well done, like I got to that episode where they're like defending the village. And I'm like, I saw this episode like 3 times already in the Clone Wars, and oh crap, what was that one? That Star Wars Rebels, was that the other one that
Yeah.
came out?
Yeah.
I still haven't finished that either. And I'm like, I've already seen like at least 3 episodes of this exact same plot in Star Wars. And so even though the other ones were more unique, it put enough of a damper on my enjoyment of the show, which was already kind of a mid feeling, that it managed to kind of like stop me dead in my tracks of watching more. But I do want to watch more, because there are returning characters that I'm a sucker for. And there is a specific type of lightsaber that shows up at the end of the first season that was very, very, very important to the Clone Wars animated series, and so I kind of want to see what's going on with that. So I have an interest in continuing, but for me, I just wasn't as enthralled with it or captured by it as a lot of people were. at the time.
I also have a buddy who texted me and wanted to know what I thought about the finale. I guess it was really good, the season 2 finale. So that's cool. Can't wait to watch it.
To borrow something from, I don't know when this one's airing, Bill's argument about Among Us becoming a cultural phenomenon, and that's more or less why it did so well in that bracket. It's not to the extent of Among Us, but like everybody knows about The Mandalorian. Everyone knows about it. It was like when Tiger King came out, and that's all people talked about for 2 weeks was Tiger King, while everybody was watching it. I feel like everybody has at least tried to watch, except for Julian, The Mandalorian, a couple of episodes, at least a handful. I've only seen, I think, 3 or 4 also, Dave, and they're decent enough. They're well made. I like Pedro Pascal a lot. But it kind of seems like they're just right now doing an episode of the week, like a journey of the week thing. Here's some goofy hijinks the Mando gets into, and then we'll move on to next week, and which is, I mean, fine enough. But it's amazing how many people give a shit, and I kind of feel like if it wasn't for Baby Yoda, they wouldn't give as much of a shit.
Mhm.
I
Because
actually
he's
think
obviously
Baby Yoda's-
adorable.
But I think it's the life that it's taken on. I don't know. I care less about Baby Yoda now than I did when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, that's adorable. Now I'm like, okay, it's the meme machine.
Yeah, and he's just, a hub for product placement and whatnot.
Mhm.
Attempting to get Jordan eyeshadow palette based on Baby Yoda colors. And it sold out within like an hour. It was insane. Yeah. It's just all greens and like light browns, and like, this looks terrible. Who's gonna put this on there? Well, whatever. But it's amazing that like now we're even banking on eyeshadow to sell money. It's wild. I'll vote for Fruits Basket.
Hell yeah.
I'm
voting for Fruits Basket.
I'm voting for Fruits Basket.
I'm voting
want-
for Mandalorian. I like the Mandalorian. It's
I'll
a good
go
time.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's good. I assumed Dave wouldn't, and I kind of assumed it wasn't gonna win, but because it's
It's not bad or anything.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just-
It's just you gotta. I feel like it's one of those things where you have to have not given up on Star Wars after what Disney did to it to keep.
Oh, it's the
wanting
other
to-
plus of the first season is it came out initially, at least before the
downfall.
last movie came
Did
out.
it
So
really? My God.
yes.
Okay. Wow.
So going into that movie, a lot of people were like, "Wow, this show is better than the movie."
Ouch.
Like,
Oh, that sucks.
And it sure is.
It's either Baby Yoda or hugging somebody so hard that they turn into an animal. All right.
Boy, that side of the bracket. I don't know too much about any of that.
All right. So next matchup is Dave's second choice, What We Do in the Shadows, against Andy's choice, Andy Mysex, TBD. I know, Andy, you said beforehand that you had a handful of options and you were just going to announce your choice in the middle of recording. So
Yes.
what do you got?
All right. I'll go into my thought process behind this. So there were 3 shows I was going to pick between. I
Riverdale,
narrowed it down to
Riverdale,
2 last week. 2 kind of surprising, 1 not so surprising. The not so surprising one is BoJack's final season. Stuck the landing perfectly. Not a lot of shows do it. It's the exact tone of the rest of the series. They didn't kind of sugarcoat it. It was very much what I want from a BoJack finale. Probably should have been my pick, but because it was the 8th season, because I've already talked about it to death in the animated adult series, I decided I'll skip it.
before you announce what it is, give me a quick second to guess it, but keep going with your other choices.
Okay, did you write down what you guessed?
No, but I mean,
I have a guess.
like before you say what it actually is.
Because I'm gonna say my second pick too. Like,
Okay, so say your
I was-
second pick.
I want to hear what you guys guess first.
NHL on NBC.
Nice. Yeah, that's it. You got it, baby.
Yes.
If
Dave?
you want me to write it down, I can.
Yeah, write it
All
down.
right, I'll just guess.
Sure.
Julian, guess it.
Riverdale.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I won't say a thing.
I just feel like.
Anyone else want to take a stab at it?
I already did.
Tom?
Oh God, Riverdale's a real good one. That would have been because you talk about it constantly. Or maybe
It's so bad, but it's so good.
what's the anime you've been watching lately?
My Hero
Or My Hero Academia, maybe? I'm gonna throw that one out
Did you
there.
write it down, Dave?
Yeah, I wrote mine down.
All right, so I said
it.
surprising. Riverdale season 4 wasn't as good as 3, and I know it's a bad show. It's not going to be on my best of. I find it ironically enjoyable. So
It's
you're
just
wrong.
that because you talk about it in such high regard.
Because
You
it's
talk-
stupid.
You talk it up
I-
so much, and then you
It's
have these little
dumb.
side notes. It's stupid. It's great. It's hilarious. It's
Yeah,
so
you know-
funny.
You know,
It's
I get
stupid.
ironic enjoyment out of a lot of stupid things. Riverdale
know,
has
but
that.
at the
It's
same
not good
time,
ironic
I-
enjoyment though.
I do. All right. Well, I want to do an episode on that one day, so I won't talk about that. My number 2 is an anime, which makes it surprising, but it's not My Hero Academia.
Oh,
Oh, I think maybe.
JoJo.
This is the one that I was gonna run
Not
with
JoJo.
last week,
JoJo.
and I was ready to
here you
go. And through the week, I was like, it's not the best thing I
I
saw
can't
this
read
year.
that.
What'd you
Backwards.
write
Yeah, it's
down?
backwards.
Would you write?
Promise Neverland.
It is Promise Neverland.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
I can't talk about it
Oh.
because it would spoil the fun of the show. It is so good. I might like it better than Mop now. It is. The more I
Okay.
think about it, the more I like it. It's really good.
I
But
heard it here first. Andy really likes anime.
I do. I really like 2 animes, and I like 4.
I'm just waiting.
I
on
probably
you to
really
say
like
it.
3
Now you're-
and like
okay.
one other.
So you're
Just
up to
say it.
6 animes now that you like. Okay.
Just
But
say
that
it.
wasn't the best thing I saw this year because at the start of the pandemic, there was a documentary series that everyone was talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
that I
yeah,
jumped
yeah,
on the
yeah.
bandwagon and I loved
You
it.
told me about it.
And it's not the Tiger King. I want to make that clear. It's The Last Dance. It is the best show I watched this year.
It's a good.
I've not heard of it.
It's well, I didn't expect you to. I don't expect most of you to have heard of it. It is the story of the 97-98 Bulls team. And basically all kind of what was going on with that team, the players. It dives all the way back to Jordan's rookie year and kind of builds up to the 98.
And how many times Michael Jordan took shit personally, which was like
It's great.
times.
Like his future teammate Tony Kukoc was called like the Croatian Michael Jordan, and in the Olympics, U.S. was playing Croatia, and everyone's like, "Oh, is Jordan going to meet his match?" And he took it so personally, he basically like fooled around with his future teammate, the guy the Bulls drafted, and made him look like a bitch. Because he took it so personally that somebody was comparing him to Tony Kukoc. I mean, you really get the vibe in that show, just how insane Michael Jordan is as a human being. The guy is insanely competitive. You dive into his gambling addiction, which is kind of interesting because when he came into the league, the NBA was basically on the verge of collapse, and Michael Jordan's good guy, clean image kind of helped save it. Whoops. And then you find out about all his insane gambling addictions. Dennis Rodman has a lot of spotlight in it. He's a lunatic, to say the least. There's like before playoff games, like Jordan would have to fly to Vegas and basically find him and bring him back for the game. It's just like insane. And they highlight everyone. Pippen, Horace Grant has an episode. Tony Kukoc, everyone. It was probably the best documentary I've ever seen. I don't expect it to go far in this. If I went with Promise Neverland, it would have a better shot. But got to be honest with myself that I think The Last Dance is so good, and I don't give a shit about basketball.
that is true.
It is just endlessly fascinating to see how these people think and why they were so successful despite being a group of insane people.
Okay, so the lesson here, everybody, is that if you want to be good at something, you got to take it personal.
But
And that's probably kind of true.
it is insane. It was crazy. They also dove into the murder of Michael Jordan's father. and like how that affected him and him going to baseball and his reasoning behind it.
Such a dumb decision.
Yeah, but he said the reason he did it is because his dad always wanted him to be a pro baseball player, and his dad died during I think it was '93 championship, and he's like, well, I'm retiring and I'm gonna live my father's wishes. And keep in mind, he was only 30 at that point. I mean, if he stayed, the Bulls are winning eight championships, and who knows if he wants to continue for a ninth after that. It's an era of sports that we're never going to live again because of hard salary caps in some sports and constant shifting superstar power in some sport. We'll never live anything like that again, I think. It's insane. And that documentary really kind of highlighted it.
Here's what I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but the episodes that I did watch didn't seem to have much in the way of a narrative timeline. So the very first episode starts out with, Jordan in high school and college and whatnot, up to getting drafted. But then you're also talking about Dennis Rodman, who doesn't show up until the second three-peat. And then you're also talking about them trying to beat the Pistons when Dennis Rodman was on the Pistons. And
Okay.
I was familiar enough with basketball and whatnot to know what was going on, but I feel like for people who weren't, and you see names that are on different teams being highlighted, a bit confusing, but I'm kind of really nitpicking there.
So what they were doing is that, like, part of the episode, because the whole thing was the 97-98 team.
Yeah.
So like that had to be had to have some focus in every episode. So they're like, here's what's happening with this team, but then they go back in time. So they build up to it while building up to the championship. It's weird, I know, but kind of interesting. Also, I like that you brought up Dennis Rodman because they spent a lot of time talking about the rivalry with the Pistons. No, Indianapolis. It was
Pistons
Indianapolis.
and Indianapolis. But the Pistons made up the Jordan rules and all that and fouled the shit out of him.
Yeah.
He couldn't get past Isaiah Thomas for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but then also the Pacers, because Rodman was on that team before he came to the Bulls, and that rivalry and the physicality behind that. I don't know. Look, I'm going to be the only one who votes for it.
It was good. It was really good. But Dave, you still have to explain what we do in the shadows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So the plus here of me having two picks is that I was able to pick an anime one and not an anime one. And spoilers, I would, if it came between these two, this is the one I would actually vote for.
My man.
What we do in the shadows is was initially there was a movie that came out 2014, and it's about a group of vampires in like modern day, and it's a comedy, and it's just a group of vampires group of eccentric vampires. They're like goofy, weird. They don't fit in with normal people. Like you would see them and you'd be like, oh, that's some weirdo that thinks they're a vampire. They're not really a vampire. They're goofy. But it's a documentary following their lives and how they live as vampires in like the supernatural society of like werewolves and all of that. Like they have a human familiar that wants to be a vampire, but they don't want them to actually be a vampire because if they're like, they want them to be their servant the entire time with the promise that they'll eventually be a vampire. And it's a good movie. The TV show takes that same premise. It stands alone, so you don't have to have seen the movie, but with different characters in America instead of New Zealand. And it is just a fantastic like comedy show where there's a general storyline sort of, but it's more just, hey, here's a comedy episode. Here's these characters trying to figure out like how to fit in with modern society or dealing with like weird vampire issues or a werewolf feud. All the characters have their own like eccentric things where like one guy just has he likes to trim shrubberies to look like vaginas. And that's just his hobby. That's what he likes to do. It's just a fantastic comedy. I'd recommend checking out the movie, but if you don't really like the movie, the show's way better. It's got 2 seasons. It came out initially a couple years ago, but then the new season was this year, and that's when I first watched it. And it's not a single one of these episodes like didn't manage to make me laugh at some point. And the only thing you'd miss out by not seeing the movie is like a few references here or there. Spoilers, there's a point where they even get fucking Wesley Snipes to show up as not Blade, but it's Blade. He's Blade. So there's like some fun guest appearances by other people who also have previously played vampires in movies or television shows. It's wonderful.
I mean, I'm prepared for a 4-1 on this one, and rightfully so. Mine was more of a niche pick, but it was so good I had to talk about it a lot. I loved it, and I don't like basketball, so it just makes it more surprising.
Julian?
You can put my vote in.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
I'm gonna vote for What We Do in the Shadows. I have seen the movie. The movie was really funny. I haven't seen the show.
Definitely check out the show. Show's the same but better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it interesting for Andy. I'll do The Last Dance.
Okay. I've also seen What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, and I love the movie as well. So yes, I've meant to get started on the show for years
It's
now,
so
and I
good.
just haven't for whatever stupid reason.
Where can you watch the show?
It's FX.
It used to be on
right?
it used to be on FX. I was just
Hulu.
looking at the Wikipedia
Probably
page,
Hulu?
and now it says Disney Media Distribution. So I don't think it's on Disney Plus. So my guess would be Hulu at this point.
I
Oh,
might have
right.
seen it
It's
on
great.
Amazon Prime also. Maybe I could be wrong. Oh, I didn't say I was voting for it, but okay.
Oh, were you? I can edit it.
No, it's fine. I'll vote for it.
No. Are you sure?
Too late now.
Oh no, I didn't. I took it back.
No, it's fine. I'll vote for it. But I did like The Last Dance a lot. In terms of documentaries, definitely really good. And you had us all going thinking you were going to pick Tiger King.
I thought I'd trick you, but
Last left turn in the last frame of the comic strip. Good job. All right. Our last matchup here in Best TV Shows is my pick, Chernobyl, against Bill's pick, Schitt's Creek. And I hate that I get matched up with another good Bill pick because I fucking love Schitt's Creek.
I haven't seen either.
But I'll talk about Chernobyl first. It's a 5 episode mini-series on HBO detailing the Chernobyl disaster in Russia in, was it 1981 or something, 83? Something like that in the early 80s.
somewhere in the 80s.
And it is phenomenal. Each episode's about an hour long, and by like 30 minutes into the first one, I was just sitting there staring at my screen, totally engrossed with it. It follows the actual explosion itself, takes you inside to the people who were working at the time that it happened, the decisions that they made that were bad decisions. Pretty much all of them were bad decisions. Then it takes that and then moves it up a level of power to the supervisors and managers, and then even further to the political class of Russia and the decision that they made to try and keep information out of the hands of Americans and other European countries and Asian countries to try and make it seem like this isn't as big a deal as it is, even though there's all the scientists saying this is a huge fucking deal. We need to contain this immediately. It's awesome. It takes a handful of different genres and kind of throws them into a single episode. There'll be, a 5-minute scene that is very reminiscent of horror. There's, courtroom dramas. There's just regular dramas between characters. All sorts of stuff. There's something in there for just about everybody. It's got little pieces of humor here and there that really hit when you're not expecting them. You don't expect humor about Chernobyl, but there's, a couple jokes in every episode, and they hit the mark every single time. It's on HBO Max if you've got an HBO Max subscription. Again, check it out. It's an afternoon's worth of time. It's 5.5 hours or so total, but it is fantastic and one hell of a roller coaster ride.
Yep. I'd just like to add, it's also very faithful to what actually happened.
Mhm.
Like, it is a dramatized version of the events, but it's very faithful. I think one of the few things they added or changed that does kind of have an impact is they added an additional person, the woman that's helping with the whole cleanup process. From what I understand, she's a purely created for the show character to kind of add more information to the audience and kind of provide just more clarity around the issues. Yeah, it is a fantastic series.
Yeah, she was supposed to be representative of kind of all the scientists that were working
Mhm.
as one. So rather than having 10 random characters you won't remember, here's one very memorable person. Has anyone else seen, heard of, given a shit about Chernobyl and wants to support me before Schitt's Creek moves on?
I really want to see Chernobyl.
I want to see it
awesome.
too.
I would like to see it.
I did a report on Chernobyl, which a long time ago in like grade school, and yeah, it was.
What's wild to me is when this came out, some people were like, "Oh, I never knew about this," and not like our age,
Ugh.
but like middle-aged people were like, "Oh, I never knew about Chernobyl." I'm like, "Where the fuck have you been living?"
Ow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
this was a major thing in the '80s. '86, it said.
86. I was
Um,
off. Sorry.
That's insane.
All right. Who's seen Schitt's Creek?
I
I've
have.
heard of it, not seen it.
Okay.
Ellie has
I
watched it and loves it. That's what I know.
I watched the most recent season, which was the last season, and then a handful of episodes beforehand. But I think I can talk about it a little bit. It's phenomenal. It is a really fun comedy that doesn't rely on a lot of like slapstick, over the top humor. It's the performances by all of the actors and actresses are sublime. Catherine O'Hara is phenomenal as Moira Rose. She's kind of the head of the Rose family, and I believe they end up losing all of their money in some sort of like real estate deal or something gone wrong, and they end up buying this little kind of roadside motel in Schitt's Creek. I think it's somewhere in Canada,
Yeah.
and they have to try and get their money back through perfectly legal and normal ways, but just trying to get people into the motel. It's a fantastic kind of understated comedy. There's not a whole lot of like huge laugh out loud moments that you'd get, but tons of just little like little crack ups here and there. It's excellent. It's really good. It's very well written. There's so many likable characters in there too. It's hard to like dislike people.
Yeah. Kelly binged through it and loves
Mhm.
it.
It's
she,
fun.
She wants me to get into it. I feel like I'd like it. It's got a little bit of an Arrested Development kind of vibe to it, I think,
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I could compare to that a little bit.
which is one of my favorite shows until it was rebooted on Netflix.
Well, you got 3 good seasons there.
I think the fourth is all right too.
Okay, 3.5.
The last season is a train wreck. But let's talk about Schitt's Creek. This sounds good.
Schitt's Creek sounds a lot more fun.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more fun than Chernobyl. A lot more
Yeah.
positive.
I think
really good.
if I had to pick one of these shows to watch, as somebody who hasn't seen any, so I have nothing really to base it on, I'm more interested in Chernobyl.
But it's from a documentary series, yeah, maybe. But for
Yeah.
a laughing entertainment series, yeah, Schitt's Creek's where it's at.
But if I had to pick one to watch, despite the genre, I'm gonna go with Chernobyl.
I'm Schitt's Creek.
I've got to stick with Chernobyl, but I don't mind if Schitt's
Yeah.
Creek moves on. It's well deserved.
I'm also
gonna
going to
go
go with
Schitt's
Chernobyl.
Creek.
Aha,
that was
thanks,
unexpected.
Chernobyl crew.
I've been very interested in watching it for a
It's
long time.
Fantastic. Some tough
Okay.
scenes to watch.
Yes, very much so. All right, so semifinals, we've got Love Victor against Fruits Basket.
That sounds.
So I am now in a place where I'm only basing my votes on what I want to watch because I haven't seen any
Yeah,
of these
I don't-
shows.
I don't,
It's
Andy. I don't
obviously
think
anime
you would.
for you, Andy.
I don't
Is
think Andy would like
you-
Fruits Basket because it's a drama, but it's
It's
also
an
slightly
anime-
replaceable. Yeah,
It's an
It's
anime
anime.
sounding anime.
yeah.
He loves that.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I think there's a better answer here, but there's one that's more personal to me because I love the show that I put on here. It's got me very emotional many times with all the characters. I like every single character in the show except for the one that you're supposed to dislike, which I intensely dislike. But I'll vote last just to see how this goes. But
I'll vote for Andy. Fruits Basket.
Oh no, is
I'm
that your
sticking
vote,
with my
Julian?
show.
That's my vote.
So two of the shows two of these four shows I actively want to watch. Unfortunately, they're on the other side of the bracket.
Whoopsies.
Why?
I'll go with. I feel like I should go with Love Victor just because of Julian, but I'm gonna go with Love Victor because I don't know. It sounds better, I guess.
Whatever, man. I mean,
Well,
outside
Jared,
he's
you're
like,
the tiebreaker then.
Oh, balls again. Okay. Oh dear.
I wanted to get into that before him because I have no opinion.
I haven't seen either of these, and though they both seem interesting, I don't know if I'll spend time with them. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. How about Love Victor? Let's get the Cinderella story.
Reason why I wanted to vote last, because if you went with Fruits Basket, I would have said Love Victor, because I think it should go
Oh,
ahead,
okay.
even though I like the other one more. I haven't seen the other one though, but I think Love Victor should go ahead.
I just want Andy to admit that he likes anime.
I did already. That's already a thing that's happened on the podcast and off the podcast.
All right, Love Victor in the finals. It'll go up
Unreal.
against either What We Do in the Shadows or Chernobyl.
Oh, both of these
Something I
sound-
like with Chernobyl also is at the end in the last episode, they do the thing of like, hey, here's the fictional character that you've been watching. Here's the actual character and like what happens with them. Also, the show opens on a kind of dark. Does it open on the
It
dark
does.
moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that has so much more weight once you've finished the series. Like it is incredible. As much as I really like What We Do in the Shadows, and that's the show on here that I think everyone should watch. I loved Chernobyl, and I think it's carries a lot of weight with it. So I'm voting Chernobyl.
So am I, obviously. But What We Do in the Shadows again seems like something right up all of our alleys.
One quick point for What We Do in the Shadows, compared to the movie, they added another type of vampire, which is an energy vampire. And everybody knows an energy vampire. It's the kind of person that'll just kind of drain you, like your energy being around and talking to.
That's clever. I like it.
He's an office worker who just bugs all of his coworkers and friends. It's great.
This side of the bracket has the opposite problem of the last one. I've heard Dave mention What We Do in the Shadow. What We Do in the. I put shows. What We Do in the Shadows. Multiple times. I do want to watch it, especially after
Quick watch.
Especially after kind of getting a more thorough synopsis. Tom and Julian, you vote first.
I'm gonna go with What We Do in the Shadows because I genuinely really liked that movie, and I'm like, I think the part that sold me is when you told me that Wesley Snipes is like
brief, very brief, very
and
brief.
It's just
but
so weird because he's so old.
Yeah.
So I love
Very
that.
brief
So
appearance. It's
I'm
great.
gonna go with What We Do in the Shadows.
Tom?
Oh, me first?
Yeah, I'll be the tiebreaker if I have to be.
I like documentaries a lot. I gotta go with Chernobyl. Like I really want to watch that one. Yeah.
I'll go with What We Do in the Shadows then. I'll just. I want to watch both. So
All right, we've
This
got
was
our
unexpected.
finals.
here we go. I made my vote.
It's unexpected for me too. You know my vote as well.
I'm sticking with mine.
Stick to your guns, Tom.
Man, see, like I actually want to watch Love Victor and the movie. I didn't know about
I do
these
wanna
before.
watch it.
I'm not a
But
sappy,
it's hard when the
sentimental
only thing
guy.
I've seen. The hard thing is that the only thing I've seen between these two is Chernobyl, and I feel like whenever I watch Love Victor, I'll be like, ah, shit, I should have voted for it, but I haven't seen it, which is the problem.
What if there was a nuclear meltdown in Georgia,
Yeah.
wherever it takes place?
It's a little hokey. Let me preface that. It's a little
Oh,
hokey.
I'm fine with hokey. I am a sucker for anything like emotionally impactful. Like it takes nothing to make me cry, and it doesn't matter how hokey it is.
Wait, have you seen Precious then?
No, I haven't seen Precious.
Oh, that'll make you cry.
What's your hold up
Okay.
on BoJack then?
BoJack doesn't make me cry.
Should make you cry. It should make you feel
BoJack's
bad.
not that emotional, at least where I had seen. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Chernobyl just because I haven't seen the other one, sadly.
Julian.
It's okay. The fact that mine
I
got this
told you,
far was unexpected.
I'm going. Actually, I'm going Love Victor. I really want to see Love Victor.
Thanks, Julian.
Of course, man.
We all want to see Love Victor, except for Andy.
Yeah, I have no heart and soul, I guess.
It's okay.
Honestly, I really didn't have a preference for the last one. I just love Tom, so I just felt like
I love Tom
I
too.
genuinely love Tom. I genuinely love you, dude. Like I do.
Aw.
Oh, now we're getting sentimental on this show. See you later.
Somebody, you have to make Dave start crying. That's the whole.
All right, let's wrap this
Apparently
one
it's
up
not
before the
hard.
crocodile tears start flowing. All right, so you heard it here on Bracket Up First, the best show that we saw in 2020, or at least that I saw and Dave saw, was Chernobyl. So y'all should go check it out if you've got an HBO subscription, and if not, our matey, go sail the seven seas or something like that.
Another thing, I think Chernobyl was airing like alongside or shortly after Game of Thrones. And I remember being like, yeah, everyone should just be watching Chernobyl instead of this garbage.
It
Like,
sounds about
We all
right.
turned it off
Sounds
after
about
season
right.
8. Yeah. All right. Well, there's a lot of good choices on this list. I'd be willing to watch pretty much. No, not pretty much. I would be willing to watch everything here. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Good talk.
Is that how you're signing off?
Well, now it's going to be awkward. No. So, all right. We've really enjoyed ourselves talking about the best shows that we saw in 2020. So stay tuned for the throughout the rest of the week for more little mini episodes on Bracket Up. We'll catch you guys soon.